The one question that will completely engage your people in a different way and start to build a different relationship with them is to just start asking your team members, what are your dreams?
Welcome to Vibecast, the podcast that dives deep into the heartbeat of workplace culture. I'm your host, Kristi Skutvik. Join me in conversations with extraordinary leaders as we unravel their experiences, both positive and negative, that have impacted workplace culture. This podcast is more than storytelling. It's about actionable insights. Are you ready to transform the vibe at your workplace? Let's go. Today's guest is someone who's all about unlocking potential and sparking growth. Kate Volman. She's the CEO of Floyd Consulting, an executive coach, certified dream manager, speaker, and author of the book Do What You Love. With over 20 years of experience in leadership and personal development, Kate's on a mission to help individuals and organizations unlock their dreams. Not only does she help people achieve their goals, but she's also a community advocate, fueling creativity and empowerment wherever she goes. As if that isn't a full schedule already, Kate is also the host of two amazing podcasts, Create for No Reason and Lead with Culture, where Kate dives deep into the joys of the creative expression process and the dynamics of great leadership. So settle in and get ready to be inspired. Well, thank you for being here today. I am so appreciative. I think we just talked last week too for your podcast. So I just love connecting over and over and over again with people too. So I'm excited to take a little, different approach to our conversation that we had last week for your podcast. So as I start out with I would just like you to define in your words what a vibe means to you.
First of all, thank you so much for having me. This is so fun. I always love our conversations. And so when we can bring it to a podcast episode and invite other people into our conversation, I'm all for it. So a vibe, when I think about a vibe, it's so funny because it's almost like when I say it's a vibe, that's what it's a vibe. Like, how do you define a vibe? So to me, I think that a vibe it's an energy. You know it when you see it, when you feel it. There's a vibe in people and in places. And when you walk into a little coffee shop and you're just like, yeah, this is a vibe. So I feel like it's energy.
Yeah. And do you think that you can put adjectives to that vibe? Like when you feel it, is it something that you can say it's like this or it's like this? Or is it just ever flowing and changing and fluid?
I feel like there's a sense of energy, a sense of inspiration, a feeling of hopefulness, a feeling of I want more of this, and just that overall sense of goodness, really. And you want more of it. I feel like, and again, I'll just go back to the local coffee shop because I love a good coffee shop, right? And there's just people working on their computers in the corner and I love that whole environment, and maybe there's some cool eclectic art on the wall and maybe some books on a bookshelf or games in the corner that have been played 100 times and it's about to fall apart, and there's just like this essence about it. And then you start to look around and you wonder, oh, what is that guy in the corner working on? Is it a screenplay? Is it a resume? Is it what is he doing? What is he creating? And so it's just that sense of wonder, that sense of real positivity and energy.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that. The sense of wonder. That is so true, right? Because not everything is defined when you think of a vibe. Sometimes it's like what's not defined or what's a little bit ambiguous that keeps you coming back for more.
Yeah, you just feel it and you don't know. It's kind of like when you meet someone like Kristi, you and I, we met and we're like, okay, we're vibing. I feel like we were friends right from the start. And, before we started this recording, if we recorded that, that would have been a whole, because Kristi and I were just talking about all these different things, and I'm like, "How is it that I just met this person?" And you just kind of have that feeling with someone, and you know it when it happens, and it's just magical, and you just know when it hits you.
I totally agree. And you've kind of had, well, from I guess my perspective, you lived it. So maybe this isn't the word you would use to describe it, but kind of this magical journey to where you're at today, right? And so before we get into like what you're doing today and the really, really awesome things and cool things you're doing for organizations, I would love you to start on like your journey and what that looked like, how you decided that vibes were important to you in creating for your own company, creating for your team, and then now creating them for other organizations, right? So take us through that journey in whatever way, shape, or form is the best for you to articulate it.
Well, I would say my time as far as my professional career, we'll start with that, obviously. No one needs to hear all going all the way back, but I think for my professional career, I worked at a chamber of commerce. And I'm in South Florida, so I worked at the Boca Raton Chamber of Commerce. It's really like the best chamber in the country. I still say that. I don't work there, but it's a great chamber. And I didn't even know what a chamber of commerce was. And I got a job there because a friend of mine got a job at this other chamber, and I was like, "Oh, is there one in my city?" And so I ended up getting a job here. I had no idea what it was. I started in sales. I hated sales, but I quickly was able to get a role as the program coordinator for the chamber. So I got to develop all the programs, and I started a women's program and a young professionals, and then I started these CEO level teas and like little parties for that, like those CEOs could get together, and then these lunches, and I just it really put me into this wonderful world of entrepreneurship and advocacy and learning about community. And I just loved every second of it. I mean, just to be able to be surrounded by so many entrepreneurs and so many incredible leaders. Our board of directors was filled with just, I mean, we have some great companies here in South Florida. And so some of the leaders, I just learned so much from them, and I was able to find mentorship when I didn't even know what a mentor was, and I'm still friends with some of those people today, which I'm so grateful for, and I think that really I wouldn't be the person I am today had I not had that role, and I was there for 8 years. So 8 years I was there, and I was able to serve my community and network with great people and connect great people together. It was one of my favorite parts of my job was I'm like, I get to take 2 people that I think might be able to do some business together or really just enjoy each other's company and put them together. And so that's what I did. And part of my responsibility was to do the programming for our trustee level members, which were the CEOs. And I read this book, The Dream Manager, and I loved it so much, and I thought, "Oh, I should reach out to the author and see if he would come speak to our trustees." And he did. He was so kind, and he came, and we got everyone a book, and he came and he spoke, and Kristi, I fell in love with the concept, the idea around helping people fulfill their dreams so that your organization can only be the best version of itself to the extent that your people are becoming better versions of themselves, and I loved it. So I went back from that presentation and I started my dream library in my office so my team members could come and check out books. Many of them did not, but that doesn't matter. I still put it out there. I was like, it was a concept that not everyone got into right away. And so I started a dream board and I started incorporating this dream conversation. And then I even asked my boss at the time, I'm like, I want to go to one of this big dream event in Chicago. So I went there. Anyway, so over the years, I stayed connected to Matthew Kelly, who's the author of The Dream Manager. And I just every couple maybe a couple times a year, I'd reach out to him, I'd give him a call, I'd email him, and I moved on, and he did his thing. He's written over, like, 40 books. Over 40 books. He has 5 kids. He's an amazing entrepreneur doing all these things, and then I'm going about my day and building my career, and I went from the Chamber of Commerce, and then I was the marketing director for the City of West Palm Beach Community Redevelopment Agency. So, again, all about community, all about merchants and businesses and entrepreneurship. And then from there, I was doing so much marketing that I started a marketing agency. So I started doing it was a boutique marketing company doing a lot of like video support and social media for small businesses. And all along the way, I'm messaging Matthew Kelly, "Why are you not on YouTube? Why are people need your message." Like I was trying to help him with his marketing. I'm like, "You need to do more marketing." And so still just kind of moving on our days. And then one day he reached out to me after I'd reached out to him and he said, "Hey, let's grab lunch." Christy, I'm thinking he's finally going to hire me to do the marketing for the company. And no, we had a very different conversation and he was like, "No, I want to let's build Floyd together and let's help, let's build up this dream manager and get it into the hands of more people." And so I joined as the CEO almost 7 years ago. I've been there. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. Okay. So I want to go back to like your first job at the Chamber of Commerce because the way you talk about it is so like joyful and I'm sure you have these conversations too with people who like leave companies because they're like ugh, they're frustrated by it, they don't like it, and I think there's so much that happens out in the marketplace about a company when people leave and then they go talk poorly about it, right? But you didn't have that same experience. So tell me some of the things that you did experience working for the chamber or even after that and as this redevelopment project that like just created this energy within you to love it there.
So, a couple things. One, so I'm still friends with my old boss because
Wow.
yeah, we still talk. I mean, not all the time, of course, but we still talk and we'll text. And I know he's someone who I could reach out to if I needed to. He's awesome. And so obviously leadership, right? People don't leave companies, they leave managers, they leave people. He was really great. And one of the things that I really loved about working there and I appreciated about him was the autonomy that he gave me. So I had a really good work ethic. I've always had a great work ethic. My dad does. And so I was constantly trying new things. I wanted to start all these different programs and my boss was like he didn't know if it's going to work or not, but he let me run with it. And then I got really involved in I wanted to help women and girls, and especially young women. I was seeing a lot of things happening. I was a big brother, big sister, and so I was working with a 13-year-old and then a 16-year-old, and I was seeing things happening, and so it was so heartbreaking that I decided I wanted to start a program. I started a program called FAB, Female and Beautiful, and it was all to help young women with self-confidence and self-esteem, and I reached out to a chamber member. I'm like, I want to do this program, but how do I do it? So anyway, they brought me into this summer program and I did it for 5 summers in a row. And my boss was like, "Yeah, go for it. Do it." Like I was able to do that program. It was a few weeks during the summer. And so I left the office and I did. And so he allowed me to pursue my dreams. I wouldn't have said it at that time. I wouldn't have put it in that language, obviously, now what I do for a living, but that's what he did. When video started coming out and YouTube look, this is way back when. This is before YouTube, before Facebook. So when I was working, Facebook had just come out and Facebook groups and YouTube and all of these new platforms, and I got so curious about them, and so I'm like, "Oh, I wanna start a YouTube channel," and so I started a YouTube channel, and so my work got all of me, but then I was so excited to pursue and explore all these other things, and he just let me run with it. He let me roll with a lot of things. The work got done, deadlines were met, goals were reached, all of the things happened, and a big part of that was because I was so engaged in my own dreams personally, and then how could I not be as excited to come to work and see what am I learning here, and then incorporate it into the chamber and my role there.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. And how often do we see that people aren't allowed to realize their dreams at work or they think they have to keep it separate? It's like not a game of it's a game of like, or if I do this, then I can't do this, right? And it's like, no, it's really an and game. And if you can integrate the two, then you'll feel the joy that you felt back when you probably didn't even know what it was, probably before you read The Dream Manager, right?
Oh, so much. I mean, this was in my 20s. I had no idea. I'm like, "You work." And I also, again, I attribute the work ethic that I have. My parents were such hardworking people, and they instilled that in me, and so I worked really hard, but I loved the work. I think there's so much value in work that people disregard. We don't always realize, like, what our work can do for us, and I can say that easily because I've always been in roles where I'm working with great people and doing great things with the world and the community, so I understand that. But I just feel like there's so much I really enjoy the work. I enjoy the work that I do. In fact, when I left the chamber, oh, it was devastating. I cried. I was so upset. I was so sad to leave. I just prayed that I was making the right decision. One of the reasons why I left was because somebody had messaged me the role at the CRA, and I wasn't looking for anything. I could have honestly, Kristi, I could have stayed at the chamber my entire career and probably been so happy. I mean, I don't know, but I felt like that at the time. But the role at the CRA, a huge reason why I took that role is because the woman that was leading the CRA, who would be my boss, she is such an incredible leader. This woman, she's one of those people, she walks into the room and she just gets the attention. She speaks eloquently. She's an incredible leader. She is so empowering. She cares so much about the community and making a difference and an impact. And I was like, I'm going to learn so much from this woman. I was scared of her. She laughs when I say this now because I was like, I was kind of scared of you because she's this awesome, powerful woman. But man, I was like, I'm gonna learn so much from this woman.
And how did you know that when you were interviewing for the role? Like, because that's something too. I think people join an organization with these expectations and maybe they wrongly assessed what they thought it was going to be, or they had played a movie in their head and they didn't really know, or they end up working for this leader who comes across great, but like really isn't. So, like, how did you know that going into it?
It's a vibe. It was a vibe. I'm gonna use your word, Christy. I do kind of feel like, I mean, I still remember being in the room. I had to interview with one person before Kim. Kim is her name. So before Kim, and then she came in afterwards, and I met her. And you know when you can just tell, I you could just tell, like they asked me such great questions. We had such engaging conversation. I felt like what I shared with them, just like some ideas that I had, I felt like they were very open and curious about it. And look, any job that you take, it's challenging to know for sure, right? Because just like when you're hiring someone for your organization, like they can interview really well and then they get to the organization, you're like, who is this person? So the same thing can happen the other way around. So I'm very grateful that I chose the right role because it was a really amazing opportunity. And to go back to the same question that you had around what made it that way, I would come up with an idea. I was like, "Hey, I wanna do this show where we feature all of these business owners. We'll do a it'll be a morning show, whatever. It'll be a show. I'm gonna interview all the merchants, and we're gonna talk about their business. We're gonna promote them. It's gonna be a great marketing piece for them, and then we'll be able to use it, put it on social media. Maybe the city can put it out on their station." And they're like, "Okay, let's try it." One of my dreams was to have a show of some kind, and so to be able to bring that idea to them and then for them to say, "Let's give it a shot." So we had this show, I think it was called West Palm Inspired, and we just featured businesses, and the cool thing about that is then I got my feet wet into that whole industry, and then one day, because I love talking to business owners, and I want people to know about the small businesses that are around their community, and so I remember I met the owner of Delray newspaper at an event, And I was like, "Hey, we should talk." And he's like, "Okay." So like a week later, I'm at his office and I'm like, "You know what we should do? Let's have a morning show." I go, "Let's do a live morning show every Wednesday morning, and we're gonna bring on people. We're gonna talk about the nonprofits, the events going on in Delray, and what's happening, and all the business, like everything that's going on in Delray." And he was like, "That sounds like a lot of work. No." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's not a lot of work." I'm like, I showed him my little iPhone. I'm like, "All you need is this iPhone and a stand, and it's gonna be fine." And then I said, "But guess what?" I said, "You're my co-host." And he goes, "Absolutely not." And I was like, "Yeah, like, I'm like, let's do it. Let's just try it." And so, he said, "Yeah, well," he's like, "Fine, we'll try it." So, like, a week later, I'm in his office. He had a marketing agency, so he had this beautiful office. So we're in his office on this orange couch that he has, and we pressed go live, and we went live for the first time, and I'm telling you, he was hooked from the first episode. He was like, "This was so fun." We did it for like 3 years. It was like once I mean, I'm telling you, we did an episode because it was live every Wednesday, it was live. We did an episode right before a hurricane was coming. Like, a hurricane was approaching, and we were like, "Let's just do it in the
Like,
morning.
we're fine.
We're fine. We have our prep ready. Like, let's just go live." So we did it, and I think we did it where did we do it? I forget where we did anyway, but we did all these different episodes. I was able to, like, because of that show, I met so many great people in Delray. I remember I got to be part of, like, a fashion show. I got to walk the runway, and oh, it was so fun. So it came from this idea, and then I would have people come up to me and say, "How did you get that job?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about? I created it. Like, it didn't even exist. Like, this show didn't exist. It was an idea that I had, and we just kind of made it happen. And then we were able to grow and build from there." Kristi, it went from using our iPhone to a full-fledged we had, like, somebody come in and do, like, 3 camera shoot. Like, it was like a whole thing.
That is so cool. Okay, you know what I'm hearing though is like you have been fearlessly authentic. Like you're like, I'm not going to take no for an answer because I really think this is a good idea. And so you were just like fearless in the pursuit of being you. And then you found people who were like, yeah, sure, I'll entertain your idea. And then it brought out something in them and then you created this thing together that was even better than probably the original idea in the first place because you just allowed yourself to be you and go with the ideas that you had because you're like, let's just try it. Like it cannot be that bad if we just go try it. And you pursued that over and over and over again and that's so awesome.
Well, it was definitely super fun. I will say that. And to your point, that is why collaboration is so important. Like, doing the show with Ryan was so fun because he and I are very different. We're similar in some ways, but we're very different in other ways. And so he had a lot more tech knowledge. And he also had a lot more, he was involved in Delray a lot more. So he knew a lot more of the people before I had an opportunity to meet them. So we both brought a lot of different skills to the project, which really enhanced it. So to what you just said, like, yeah, of course, it would have looked a whole lot different if it was just me trying to do it. And that's why I love meeting different people and having different collaborations because everyone's ideas matter. And then you get to figure out someone else's superpower. And this is what leaders do. When you have a team member, it's your role, it's your responsibility to help them grow and also to help them identify what are their superpowers? What are they really good at? Are they able to do the things that they're the best at in the role that they're in? When you can do that, you're not only are you giving that person a gift, but it's also gonna help enhance the organization.
Totally. And who knows what can be birthed from that, right? Like it like the possibilities kind of become endless at that point when people are like working in their true self and allowed to explore ideas and allowed to be creative and even for people who don't define themselves as creative. Like I wouldn't define myself as a creative, but I can be creative in the space that I work and live and breathe in, right?
And you are creative. So in my book, I have a poem. It's called "We Are All Artists." Everyone is an artist. Now, artists probably don't wanna hear me say that, but like I'm like, "But you are the
Yes.
artist of your life."
A pure life. Yes.
Yes, like, that is what you get to do, and so I think that is a beautiful way to approach life is that you are creating it, And so, I mean, the subtitle of my book is A Guide to Living Your Creative Life Without Leaving Your Job. You don't have to leave your job to have that creativity in your life. Now, you might want to, and that's a beautiful dream as well, but you don't have to. And so, what's also cool when you are allowing your people to really uncover what they're good at and what they bring to the table in their unique way is you're going to get so much more out of them because think about it when somebody's engaged in their work, what are they thinking about when they're outside of work? Like they're thinking about, "Ooh, how can I do this? How can I bring this back? How can I enhance this part of my work?" Because they enjoy it. So it doesn't feel like work, it feels like, "How can I contribute? How can I contribute in a way that I'm able to do more of the things that not only I'm good at, but actually help move our mission forward?"
Well, and then I think too, when you're in that mindset, you open yourself up for opportunity to notice things. It's like the snowball effect of like, I'm open to this idea and I have this idea. And then I start to notice things or I start to hear things around that idea or that change my idea, right? Because you're in the mindset versus like, no, that's a bad idea. No, no, no. Like kind of pushing things away versus like opening it up to like, be this, like, open field of, "Okay, what's gonna grow next?"
Yeah, I like that. I love that word noticing. There's a really great book by, oh my gosh, his name just Rob Walker. I think it's Rob Walker. It's called The Art of Noticing, and it's a beautiful book. He even has a lot of activities in there that you can use to start to notice the world around you in a different way, and I think that it's a beautiful thing, especially today with, we're all scrolling and looking at our phones so much, it's like, "But wait a second, what if you took a walk and your job was to just notice something different that you might pass by every day, but you miss?" So I love that noticing what's showing up for you in the world.
Yeah, yeah, we don't often take enough time to kind of pause and allow ourselves to notice. You're right, because 'cause we're just moving, moving, moving. That is something that I'm working on. Actively, always.
Always a work in progress.
Always, always. Okay, so fast forward to your lunch and you're asked to be the CEO of this company. So tell me more. You're like, yeah, sure. And you jump on the bandwagon and then what?
So, well, it's funny because I wasn't like, "Yeah, sure." I was like, are you talking to me? Like, who? Like, that's not what I do." So just like a true great leader that sees someone in someone else, we had a very lovely conversation around what that would look like and what that would be, and it was really, it was such a fun conversation, and it was such a I gotta stick with the point. There's so many emotions because I just had so many emotions because it was like, what a full circle moment. It was like 15 years prior that I read this book, and as you can see behind me, I'm a lover of books. I buy way too many books. I love them. Books change our lives, and I thought, "This book changed my life, period. Now the author of this book is giving me a life-changing opportunity. Wild. Never in a million years would I dream of that." And so it was kind of surreal. And then to be able to work with someone like Matthew has just been so rewarding. And so so obviously, take on the role and we're building the team and we're certifying dream managers. I mean, a big part of what we do is we certify dream managers. So most of our clients work in HR or like the culture development, like part of the business. So it's an organization, it's a medium-sized organization. Typically, I mean, it's all industries, all shapes and sizes. I would say kind of our sweet spot maybe is around 350 employees, but we have some clients, like one of our clients has 20,000 employees. So it's a very scalable program, and so we work with organizations. They usually send someone from their team to come get certified to be a dream manager. And we teach them how to roll the program out, to introduce it to everyone, to get people to sign up. And they also learn how to be a dream manager, how to be the life coach for their people. And what's really cool about this program and what Matthew shares is really the biggest difference between life coaching and the dream manager is the content that we deliver. So Matthew created a curriculum So every time the dream manager meets with their dreamer, they're going through very specific sections in the curriculum. First, obviously, it's focused on their dreams, helping them dream again, helping them create that list of dreams, then helping them identify, all right, what's 1 or 2 1-year dreams, then what's a 3-year dream, and then what's a 5+ year dream. And then when your dreamer comes and meets with you, you're not only holding them accountable to the steps that are needed to make that dream happen, but you're also talking about the genius of your personality, relationships, communication, time, and energy. So we have all of this new content. They're also reading Matthew's book, The Rhythm of Life. So they're learning all these new skills and they're just having these deep, rich conversations with their dream manager. And it is just one of the most life changing programs. And anyone that knows me, all my friends, they laugh because I'm always like, yes, everyone in the world needs a dream manager. I don't know what the problem is. Like, why does not everyone understand this? Because we all do. And so I love working with the leaders we work with because they are culture focused. They understand our philosophy at Floyd, which is an organization can only be the best version of itself to the extent that your people are becoming better versions of themselves. And so they invest in their people.
Yeah, and I like what you said at the very beginning and how this stream manager is set up is like helping people realize I'm paraphrasing and I don't remember, like, exactly how you said it, but, like, realizing that they even have dreams, because I think so often, like, I'm sure you go into lots of conversations of like, "Okay, like, tell me what your goals are, like, I wanna hear all about it," because we just think that, like, everybody's as excited about doing life as we are, and then people look at you like you're speaking a different language and you're, like, have 3 heads, and you're like, "Oh, okay," and they're like, "I have no goals." You're like, "Huh?" So I love that there's, like, a process, like, it's like a pre-step to, like, having those conversations because probably more people than not, maybe, have never stopped to open themselves up to have the thought that they could have dreams beyond, like, getting through the day. Or beyond, like, just making life happen for their family, or I am living my dream. It's like, "Oh, I know, I'm not saying you're not, but, like, there's just so much more to who you are and how you're designed and what you're here for," and all of the things that, like, I love getting like, shaping the mindset first to know that they're built for more.
Yes, and we actually do a dream storm with them. So we've got dream starter questions. They start off really easy and it just gets them dreaming again. And at the end of that dream storm, we encourage people to create a list of 100 dreams. And Kristi, when we say 100, people are like, "What?" Like, that's no, like, that is way too many dreams. But what's cool is in the Dream Manager, Matthew shares this 12 areas of dreams. So we have 12 areas. They're things like your physical, a lot of people have professional dreams and financial dreams, but not everyone has legacy dreams, psychological dreams, character dreams, creative dreams, spiritual dreams. And so if you put, 6 to 8 dreams under each category, you're gonna get to 100. And so breaking it down, that's what we see often happens with especially with some people that have lived a really beautiful life and they're like, "I don't have any more dreams." I'm like, "Let's see about that." And so you introduce the categories and they're like, "Oh, wow, I didn't realize I wanna focus on my legacy dreams." Or I haven't had any creative dreams in years. It's time for me to get back into playing piano or learning pottery or whatever they wanna engage with.
Yeah. Okay, do you have a story that you can share about, like, a client or a person within the organization that is just transformational, I guess I would say, in a good or bad way, right? So either way, we learn from, like, the bad also. I was having this conversation with my 15-year-old daughter on the way to school today, and sometimes, like, the things she says are just so mature, and I'm like, "I'm actually inspired by you," because she was like, even the situations that are bad, like, it depends just how you look at them, and they're all good. And I'm like, "Oh, wow, yeah, you're right." So, I have this belief too that, like, even the bad can turn good because you can learn something from it. So, do you have a story you can share of transformation that is really cool or comes to mind or it's, like, been really impactful for you?
Well, for a client, you mean for a client? For someone we worked with?
For a client. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna preface it well, first of all, your daughter must read, like, Stoicism or something, because the fact that she already has that is remarkable. I attribute that to great parenting, so good job with that. So I wanna first start with because the story I could tell story after story after story, they're all incredible in their own ways, and we do talk to all of our dream managers, and they share with these beautiful stories. We just got a video from one of our clients the other day, and I almost cried watching it. It was just so crazy, but what I love when I talk to the dream managers, what we love, I always ask them, like, what are some of the common dreams that you're seeing of people? And some of the, like, the top three, and it's always the same. This is what's so funny. It doesn't matter what industry, it is like 9 out of 10 times. These are the three things that people say, which is so wild when you think about it.
Everybody listen.
Yes. So think about your dreams, but when I say them, you're gonna be like, "Yeah, those check out. They make sense." So the top 3 dreams that most people work towards and they achieve a lot of success towards is 1, becoming financially free. People wanna get out of debt. I mean, we have people in fact, I was just on a call with one of our dream managers earlier today, and they actually did the numbers, and collectively, their dreamers have been able to save $300,000. That's a huge number to put towards their financial future. So, financial freedom, always on people's list. The second one is always physical. I wanna get fit. Whether it's I wanna look better, I wanna fit into that dress, I wanna just get healthier, I wanna be able to, like, play with my grandkids and my kids, like, whatever it is, it's always some type of, like, a physical goal, and I forget the number they share, but he did collectively, like, the amount of weight that the group lost, and it's, like, hundreds of pounds that have been shed, which is amazing. And then the last one, which shows up all the time, is to strengthen your relationship with significant other, a friend, a child, someone in your life. And so those are the 3. In fact, the past few years, it's been a lot of wanting to have a better relationship with their spouse and incorporating more date nights, incorporating having deeper, richer conversations with their spouses and the dream manager has been able to facilitate that because of the questions that they're asked in the program. And now some of them are going back home and they're having these conversations with their spouse, with their kids. So think about at the dinner conversation, how different it is when you're coming home and that's what you're bringing to the table. You're asking people, "Hey, tell me about your dreams. Why is that important to you?" There's one session that's all about relationships and you just really get into like the different levels. In fact, we use Matthew's book, The 7 Levels of Intimacy, and he talks about the 7 levels. We have different levels of relationship with everyone in our lives. And so, shouldn't we want to be at that 7th level with the person that we love the most? Through our conversations with the dreamers, they really uncover what that looks like for them. And so I'll say kind of collectively that is always impactful because you hear these stories of the person that has been able to heal their marriage. I mean, the dreams are endless, right? A lot of people buy a home. They are so happy to be able to buy a home. And there's a part of the program that we talk a lot about finances and budgeting and what that's like because it's shocking to me how many people have not ever had a budget. They've never really looked at it and put it together. And so that's been awesome. And then there's a client that we have that I always joke with her because I'm like, "You guys are like our poster child for dream managers." And it's an incredible company, and they have about 300 or 320 employees or so, and they have been using the program since 20 I think, like, 2018 or so, and they have 5 dream managers now, and they are building the program out, so more and more of their team members are taking advantage of the program, and because they are learning about the dreams of these people, now what they're doing is it's kind of like Dream Manager is almost like the hub for them. They're learning about all these dreams, so then they can say, "Oh, a lot of our people are interested in being financially free, so we're gonna provide them with some financial resources. Now we're gonna bring in, a physical someone to come in and do meditation and fitness and help them with those dreams." And so the dream manager is like kind of like the hub of all that, and now they're able to leverage some of these other programs that they're offering to their team members, some of which none of their team members leveraged before because they didn't know about them. And so this program has really enhanced what they were already doing and now bringing new things into the organization. And the impact that it's having on people, like that's if you talk to any of our dream managers, that's what they're going to say to you. They're going to say the dreams that these people are achieving and what it's done for the people that are achieving them, the confidence, the just how they show up differently, how much more joyful they are. In fact, I was working with a guy and he said he was going through a really challenging time at home. And then on top of it, now he's dealing with a really challenging time at the office. So now he has all the things going on. It was one of those like, how can one more thing happen to you? Like this is not great. And so I will never forget, he said, I feel like I wish I was making a little bit more progress, but here's what I discovered. I was a ship and my life was going in one direction. And you know what I feel like? My ship's turning around slowly but surely. And he said, and you know what? It's really hard to turn a ship quickly. And now I understand. And he goes, and I have the tools now to deal with the situation that I'm going through. And had I been going through all of this stuff at once a year ago, I actually don't know if I would be able to handle it. Like, that's a huge statement to make. I mean, that person is going to be able to get over whatever life's going to throw at him so that he can continue to achieve his dreams.
And like these things are so small but so big, right? Because they have an impact personally, professionally, and then if that person's impacting others because they're a leader of a team, then they can show up and impact that team positively. So then it's like this ripple effect that I think we so often, like, forget about that we have an impact on others for the stuff that we're going through ourselves, and so if we can do some things with ourselves and we can do some things with others too, like, so often I get asked, like, "Create a program that will, like, solve our culture issue," and I'm like, "Hmm." I think we need to, like, work from the inside out to, like the program's only gonna, like, be something you can point to that you're working on, but is it really solving for what's actually happening within your people? And I think you guys are truly solving for what's inside of people so that they can come out and connect, which is what people are looking for, right? And when you say, like, one of the 3rd things on their list is, like, connecting with their spouse on a deeper level, it's like connecting with other people too coming out of the pandemic has been lost, but they can't connect until they know how to do it. They can connect with themselves. And they know how to connect with themselves and then they can connect with other people. So, it's like such a beautiful thing.
It is really just the most fulfilling work, and I always say to our dream managers, I'm like, "You guys have the best job in the world as a dream manager," and when they talk about the dreams that are being achieved and books that are being written that they would never have written without the encouragement and support and guidance from a dream manager and just everything that happens, and, leaders need to care about their people. When we care about our people, they're gonna show up at work differently.
Mhm. Okay, so I can just imagine in some people's head listening right now, they're like, "Yeah, that's super great, like, but these organizations that, like, engage the dream manager, like, they're already thinking in that direction, so they probably already have, like, a foundation of good vibes in the workplace or whatever." But I have to imagine, and this will be my last question, then we'll get to my very, very last one. It's like PS and then PPS, when you write a letter. Um, but I have to imagine you have encountered organizations that are like, "This is a joke. This is a bunch of fluff," and you've turned them around, and they probably are really, really, really big supporters, I have to imagine, once they turn that corner. So, have you seen that before? Because I can't imagine everybody coming to you is like, "Yep, this is all good. Let's go. Let's charge. Let's do it."
Well, I will say this because what I always laugh at is when my friends will say to me, "Oh, you need to talk to so and so's company because their culture really sucks." And I'm like, "Oh, cool. That's actually not who I want to be talking to," because, we do get some people that will reach out to us and learn about the program, and they are a little bit more skeptical. I will say for the most part, we do talk to a lot of leaders that they've already bought into that idea. I think that's a very different conversation. Trying to convince, and this is work that we go through this work. It's trying to convince someone that culture matters, that you should care about your people, like, that's a very different conversation. Like, they have some more work to do before they're even ready for this kind of program because they're gonna show up and say, with their arms crossed, "All right, show me what you got," and they're gonna give it a month, and so, we actually don't work with a ton of leaders that are like that. We have had many people who have reached out to us that have been talking to us here and there for, like, a couple years, and it takes them a while, so we have had those people where it might take them 1, 2, 3. I mean, we laugh every time we always get the, "All right, fine. I'm ready. I'm ready to do it." In fact, we had somebody call the other day and they were like, "Okay, I'm ready. Like, sign me up. Let's do it." And, our team member said, "Oh, okay, awesome. What changed?" And you know what the reply was? "Nothing. Nothing has changed, and that is why we're doing this. That's why now is the time." 3 years, nothing changed, finally gonna commit to, maybe there is something with this dream manager because they are hearing all of the stories that are happening, and so we do hear that a lot, and I'm telling you, every organization, it's wild how quickly they see an impact. They roll the program out within, like, the first month, 2 months, they're like, "Oh my gosh, people are talking differently, there's different conversations around, like, people are asking people about their dreams." It happens so quickly.
It almost, like, gives them a common language, right? So that they can start to talk about the same things around the organization. They don't have to talk about, like, the parts that they're tinkering with or the financials that they're struggling with or whatever. It gives them, like, this common in between language that's simple and fun, right? It, like, is something that's joyful to talk about. It's not like a P&L or an Excel spreadsheet. I mean, maybe some people believe that those are fun to talk about. I don't. But anyway,
And thank goodness for those people.
yes, exactly, exactly. So, okay, so we could talk forever and ever, amen. But the last question I have, my PPS, is if there's one piece of advice you could give to leaders walking out of this conversation, besides like going and reading the Dream Manager book and like looking into it a little bit more, what's something that they could do simply as a next step to start improving the vibe of their organization?
Very simple. The one question that will completely engage your people in a different way and start to build a different relationship with them is to just start asking your team members, "What are your dreams?" Simple, easy. The next time you have a one-on-one, "Hey, what are your dreams? What's one of your dreams?" And just watch what happens.
And keep asking. So if they don't answer you the first or second time, keep asking, right? Like pursue them because they might, when they know you're coming around to it again, they might like start to have an answer after they don't, maybe the first 1 or 2 times.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, everyone has dreams, but sometimes people just we shut them down, and sometimes people don't wanna share it with their leader, but if you ask them, "Hey, what do you" another question I love asking people is, "Hey, what are you most excited about this year? Like, what are you most excited to achieve this year?" It's a kind of a different way of asking what are your dreams, because again, not everyone knows that. And that's why the dream storm is so great because it invites those questions and it gets people started. So, but yeah, that's what I would say to a leader is to care about your people enough to ask them their dreams.
So awesome. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. This was so insightful and warm, like, to my heart. And so I just appreciate you sharing, like, all the goodness that you guys are doing and the impact that you're making really around the country, to help people realize, like, what they can be, can have, and the joy that they can bring. So, so awesome. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for having me on. This was so much fun. I appreciate it.
And that's a wrap on today's episode. Kate and I had an absolute blast diving into all things work vibes, talking about how energy we feel from people and places really sets the tone for everything. From growing into your authentic self to creating a workplace full of creativity and good energy. We also got the inside scoop on Kate's journey of becoming a CEO, how dream managers are changing the game of the workplace and employees' personal lives, and why workplaces that support your big dreams are key to everyone winning. So, whether you're leading a team or just trying to level up your own vibe, today's episode was packed with gold. Thanks for hanging out with us and keep vibing, my friends. If this episode inspired you and you want to see how you can take the next step to creating a better vibe within your organization, I'd love for you to download our complimentary 75 Vibes worksheet. This is a simple tool to create a habit and mindset around creating great vibes in work and life. The best part, it's simple and it works.